Hey everybody, how you all doing? Happy 2017 to all of you. Hope the new year is treating everyone just fine. This will be my first video for 2017. This video will actually be a contest response video. I'm going to respond to a contest that was started by James, ROCKBOY680. James, if you're watching, I hope you enjoy this contest response video, and Happy New Year to you, and congratulations on 2,000 subscribers. Hopefully you'll get some more shortly after the contest ends. But anyway, on with the contest response. I'm gonna try to make this a quick one here. I have a stack of albums that I want to show for this contest that James started. This contest from after watching his video and after watching Mean Mr. Mayo and Matthew Smith and a few others contest response videos. This will be a favorite album of 3 decades. I'm actually gonna go 3 decades or more. From what I understand, I'm actually going to show albums from 5 decades. They go from the 1950s all the way to the 2000s. I have some albums from the 2000s to show you. So hope you enjoy this response video to everyone that's watching, including James himself. And let's get started. I only have one actual album from the 1950s. I love the 50s music, but I mainly have greatest hits and singles. I don't have actual studio albums, but I'm going to need to get actual studio albums by some of my favorite artists. But as of right now, this is probably my favorite 1950s album. I know Mean Mr. Mayo, Joe, showed an Elvis album for his favorite album of the 50s. I'm gonna go with Elvis's debut album. This is a first pressing from 1956. I played it all the way through and I enjoyed it a lot. Every song on here I enjoy. Great Elvis debut here. And now on to the 60s. I'm gonna show some Beatles albums. I'm gonna show the Beatles' second album. I have a cassette of this. I've had a cassette of this when I was little, and I played that one all the time when I was very little, and because I love the album. I just love the sequencing of songs, even though this is not what the Beatles intended. It's a mixture of songs from with the Beatles and a couple from A Hard Day's Night. You can't do that. It's not from the film, but it's from the Hard Day's Night album. Then you got Long Tall Sally, which was done during sessions for a Hard Day's Night. But this is just a wonderful non-stop rock and roll album. Every song on here is just fantastic. I wore the cassette one out when I was little, and it's always been my favorite, one of my favorite Beatles albums. I'm mainly a UK albums guy, but this would probably be my favorite US album of the Beatles catalog, and probably one of my favorite albums of the 60s. So that's the Beatles' second album. But this next one, it could be my favorite album of the 60s. It's very difficult, because favorites always change, but I'm always going to have a Beatles album as my favorite album of the 60s. It's probably going to be this, and that's Revolver. This is a Japanese pressing, but it is the UK album. It has the 14 songs like on the UK album. Revolver has always been my favorite Beatles album for the longest time when I was little. I've always loved this Klaus Voormann drawing, and I love every song on here. And I even wore my cassette tape out that I've had when I was little. I played that one a bunch of times. But this has some of my favorite Beatles songs like Tomorrow Never Knows. And Your Birdkin Sings, also a favorite. Here, There, and Everywhere is also one of my favorite Beatles songs on this album, and I'm Only Sleepin's one of my favorites on here. I love every song on here. I also have to add She Said, She Said, another great song. This whole album is just wonderful. So Revolver, and one more Beatles album to show you for this video. And this one, you know, it could be either this album or Revolver is my favorite Beatles album. It changes a lot, you know. Sometimes I can maybe go with Sgt. Pepper or maybe Rubber Soul, but usually it would be either the White Album or Revolver. I'm gonna go with the White Album here. This is a new copy that I just received, and that's my number. I'm gonna show this in my Beatles update video that I'm gonna post on my Beatle Vinyl 85 channel. But the update is gonna wait because I still have tons of Beatles records currently in transit. But yeah. Onto the content of the White Album. Oh, let me tell you the pressing. This is a UK mono pressing here, and that's my number. I'm gonna show this in my Beatles update. Like I said, sorry to repeat that again, but onto the content of the White Album. I love every song on here. I enjoy every song on here, and you know, even Revolution 9. You know, I don't really listen to Revolution 9 that much, but sometimes I can. You know, when it does come on, I hardly bail out of Revolution 9. I just keep it going until the track finishes, you know, and then it goes on to Good Night. But really good album. Sequencing of songs is wonderful. I love, and it's a double album. You know, it's a first and only double album that the Beatles ever released. More material on here. A lot of wonderful songs on here, like Blackbird and Back in the USSR and Dear Prudence and Happiness is a Worm Gun and Helter Skelter. Just a wonderful variety on this album. I just love the variety on the White Album. So I'm gonna put that one. And then I'm gonna give me a second here. I'm gonna go off the Beatles track here. I'm gonna show a Bob Dylan album that I really love. You know, I'm gonna show multiple albums of every decade. I know Mean Mr. Mayo showed this, but I'm gonna go with Highway 61 Revisited. I love every song on this album. Every song does it for me on this album. Wonderful album. Highway 61 Revisited. And the next album, the last album I'm going to show as my favorite of the 60s is the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. One of my favorite Stones album. Probably my favorite Stones album. I'm not sure. Okay, now on to the 1970s. My current favorite album of the 1970s, I think it's gonna have to be, I know Joe chose Fleetwood Mac's Rumors album. I have the vinyl of that myself, but I didn't include it in the pile because he already showed that. I also love that album, Rumors. But I think for now, my favorite album of the 70s changes a lot. I think for now, I'm going to go with Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones. This is another one of my favorite Stones albums. Probably my favorite, you know, tied with Let It Bleed. Now, I'm going to go through a few more here. I guess I would call these runner-ups. And you know, one of these could easily be my favorite album of the 70s. Next is a Deep Purple Machine Head. Another one of my favorites of the 70s. The Who, Who's Next? Led Zeppelin 4. Favorite Zeppelin album changes. For the longest time it was House of the Holy, but I don't know. I think I should default to Zeppelin 4 for now. Now for David Bowie, I was gonna go with Hunky Dory, you know, because I know Hunky Dory is like a very important album, and to a lot of people, and a Bowie masterpiece to so many people. I love that album, but personally, I'm gonna go with Ziggy Stardust. Same thing with Pink Floyd. A favorite Pink Floyd album changes, but I think I'll just default to The Dark Side of the Moon. And the last one for the 70s is Van Halen's self-titled album. Okay, that's all for the 70s. Now on to the 80s. I'm going to go with Michael Jackson's Thriller. And now we're going to go from pop to heavy metal here for the 80s. Metallica's Master of Puppets. Jacket's in beat up condition. I'll have to upgrade. And the last one for now, for the 80s, from the 80s, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. I love this whole album. I love this whole album, even the big songs on here, like Welcome to the Jungle and Paradise City and Sweet Child of Mine. I love those three songs, but radio just annoys me with those songs, and I just couldn't hear them. But regardless, I will forever enjoy those songs. I still have a soft spot for them. But that's it for the 80s for now. There's a few others I like to mention. There's another one I like to add, which I don't currently have on vinyl yet. I'm gonna have to get it if I see it at a cheap price. I've been listening to INXS's Kick album. I've been listening to that a lot on my iPod, and I enjoyed it. I have yet to find a vinyl copy of that. I think I will at some point. If I do, I'll pick it up. But that's a really good album. Okay, on to the 90s. Green Day, Dookie. This one I don't get tired of. Whole album is fantastic. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. This is another one I'm not tired of. This is probably the Chili Peppers' best album. And the last one for the 90s is Tool's Enema. Okay, a couple more to show you. We're going to go into the 2000s. I only have a couple from the 2000s to show you. The first is System of a Down, Toxicity. System of a Down's going to have a new album out this year. I can't wait. Finally. Really good album. Every song on here is just wonderful. I like me some heavy metal. So, and the last one of the 2000s is the White Stripes, Elephant. The whole album is wonderful. You got Seven Nation Army, a classic, and so many other great songs on here. Alright, that wraps up this response video to ROCKBOY680's 2000 subscribers contest. I hope you enjoy this response video, James, and once again, congratulations on 2,000 subscribers, and hopefully you'll get 3,000. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. So, alright, that wraps up this response video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, James, for if you're watching, mate. Talk to you all later, and stay tuned for more videos.